Especially north of Memphis, as you were saying, Ron. We're seeing some of the winds right now. I'm just kind of querying some of these different wind areas across this line as you go from north to south. Right now, it looks like 40-mile-per-hour winds near Butler, up to 54. And again, this is a couple thousand feet up when we're looking at this. In fact, I'll look at this exactly, and we're looking at a height. Actually, this is about only about 1,000 feet up. So these winds, these 50+ mile-per-hour winds could make it down to the surface, but we're looking close to Wilson, Arkansas, and then further south as you go down toward Joyner. So that's from Wilson to Joyner is where we're seeing some of the strongest winds. These are heading toward some of the leading edge of this, which is right here, is going to head toward Gilt Edge, Flatwood, Detroit, Cherry, and Luckett. So this is moving basically east and a little bit southeast. It looks like the strongest winds are going to miss Shelby County. Most of this is going to be in Tipton and Lauderdale County. So I've been watching that part of it. One other part that I've been watching is the shear rate. Of course, we have the tornado watch in effect, but the good news is we're seeing pretty weak turning of wind, except on the very northern end of this. And this is what I wanted to point out. Let me show you this. Just north of Luxora and near Blytheville, and a lot of times on the leading edge of these, let me go back to the radar, where these little bow echoes on the northern edge, you can sometimes get a little bit of rotation out there, and that kind of matches up with this little area here. It's a broad area of rotation. Of course, no tornado threat right now, but it's something we'll keep an eye on as we go through the next few minutes, especially as it moves over into portions of Lauderdale County. So heads up, Ripley, we're watching this for you, and Henning as well. But again, main threat is damaging wind tonight, not a tornado threat. The good news, Ron, this doesn't look as bad as some of the other storms we've seen over the past several weeks, although it's still going to pack some serious wind. This one in particular, hopefully we can keep the wind damage reports down some.
And you know, Spencer, it's those bookend vortices that could really create some problems and prompt tornado warnings overnight tonight. It's those bookend vortices, as I mentioned. Let me draw it out for you because it's that little area right there that Spencer was pointing out. You get a little bowing segment here, so you've got wind coming here. Now, in advance of that, there is a strong southerly flow, but it's making that push to the east. And then once you get that little bowing segment, you can get a quick little spin up in a very small area, and I think that's what we were looking at on the first alert Doppler radar. But right now, I tell you what, this is packing a punch with rain as well. And as a matter of fact, just taking a look, let me zoom in just a little tighter because I want to take a look at rainfall rates with this. We're also getting some indication there may be a little hail in there. But as we go to that, check this out. Right here, just to the north of Osceola, it's coming down at just under 2¼ inches per hour. Right there around Blytheville, just around 2 inches per hour. So we've got a lot of activity, and there's also the possibility that there's some hail in there. As a matter of fact, back around just to the northwest of Jonesboro, we were getting radar indications of some hail that was, well, let me put these features back on here for you because that was pretty big at one point. And let me show you, I'll put a little information on here and show you what we're looking at. As far as hail size, it was close to 2 inches in size. That's almost ping pong ball size hail. Now, as it moved a little farther east, not the case. But let me show you a live view from Osceola, Arkansas, right there on 55. It is windy, it is raining hard. And right now, there you see a flash of lightning. Lightning's also been pretty intense with this storm as it's been coming on through. But this is from our RDOT camera right there in Osceola. Now, this line is going to impact Memphis and Shelby County as it continues to move to the east tonight. Heavy rain, the intense lightning, the gusting wind. But we're likely to get clipped, I do believe, by this little back edge right here. The strongest portion of the storm may stay just to the north of Memphis, even though it's trying to go just a little farther to the south and east. But the real motion and energy is that area right there. And as I put this into motion, you'll see it. Check that out. Just kind of really pushing on through. Lauderdale County, get ready. That's about to come through. The town of Ripley, that will be impacting you within the next few minutes. I'm going to zoom in just a little tighter. Spencer, if you see something that catches your eye, jump right in and let me know. We'll come right to you. In the meantime, I'm going to put a track on this to give you an idea of where that's going to go and impact the town of Ripley. We'll track it on through Lauderdale County within the next few minutes. So Detroit, 10:56, Garland, 11:01. Then it comes into Ripley at 11:10. I'm tracking this at about 40 miles per hour. Is that still the speed? Should I be going a little faster on that, Spencer?
Probably about 50 to 60.
Okay, so I tell you what, I'm going to make a quick adjustment on this, on my speed and times, and then we'll put a new track on this. So with that, let's track this. I'll go at about 50 miles per hour. Let's do that. Now let's put a new track on here. Let me clear that out. I do want to give Lauderdale County the heads up. There we go. It's going to move into Chick right around 10:58. Then Gilt Edge at 11:02. We'll see that then move into Burleson at 11:05, 11:14 into Covington, 11:15 it will move into Folks. Then we should see it move on into Nutbush at about 11:20, 11:27 into Friendship. Maury City, it will come in there right around 11:29. So this impacting really Dyer, Lauderdale, and Tipton counties. Now that southern edge of that line, that's going to likely impact Shelby County. As I put a track on this, we'll clear this old track out. Let's put a new track here and track this southern portion of that storm, because it looks like it's almost like we've got two areas, one that's moving this way and another segment of that storm kind of pushing to the south and east. So Drummond's 11 o'clock, Munford, that's going to come in there at 11:06. We'll see it get into Millington at 11:08, 11:13 into Rosemark, 11:22 into Brunswick, 11:28 will move into Lakeland, 11:32 Hickory With, and 11:37 we'll see that come into Oakland. Now I do believe parts of southern Shelby County, areas that border the Mississippi River in West Tennessee, will be impacted by this area of storms, but the most intense portion of it, I think, is going to remain just to our north and really have an impact from Dyer to Lauderdale and Tipton counties. Spencer, you're looking at power outages, and this has a history of already knocking out power for many, huh?
Yeah, and that's what I was noticing. I wanted to see what was happening behind this line with the power outages, because that can kind of give us an idea of how strong these winds are. And right now, our power outage map is showing, and this is going county by county, at least 1,000 to 2,000 customers without power up in portions of northeastern Arkansas. So as you go into these light blue counties, this is behind the actual line itself. And I noticed just in the last little bit that Shelby County has jumped up to 6,700 without power right now. So we're watching that as well. But again, at least a few thousand without power behind this. And keep in mind, a lot of those areas are more rural areas, so you're not going to have as many people that can be impacted as, say, here. So these storms are packing some wind that may be causing some power outages, maybe some tree limbs down on some power lines and that sort of thing. So if you're in Lauderdale or portions of Tipton County, again, you're going to get the strongest part of this wind because it's already now crossing the river into portions of western Lauderdale County. So this is already crossed the river. So heads up Ripley, Henning, Covington, and Munford heading your way within the next little bit. Hopefully this will not be too strong, but right now there are good signs that at least 50 to 60 mile per hour winds are associated with this batch of storms. And right now it doesn't look like Shelby County will see the brunt of this. It looks like Shelby County is going to see maybe some 40 mile per hour winds with some of this, but it may not be as strong here in Shelby. Ron?
Let me share something with you, though. This is from the National Weather Service just moments ago. They had a peak gust in Blytheville. This was coming through. Now, we're getting radar estimates of about 60, 55, 60, even close to 70 miles per hour. But we're hitting that, what, at about 3,000 feet, Spencer?
Yeah, it's probably at Blytheville. It's at about 2,200 feet.
Okay, so we're hitting that at 2,200 feet. The sensor at the surface in Blytheville reported a gust of 19 knots, which is just 22 miles per hour.
Well,
this air aloft, it's not mixing down to the surface. That's great news because this could turn into just a heavy rainmaker. But radar estimations and radar indications are there's some strong wind in there. And that's why the National Weather Service has issued this severe thunderstorm warning until 11:30 tonight. Because just from the radar perspective, We're seeing the strong wind, we're seeing the heavy rain, the history of hail in this, and really the intense lightning. Just that little area right there. Look at that, 737 strikes of lightning. That's picked up quite a bit. And from Blytheville down to Covington, about 560 strikes just within that. But again, some of those winds not mixing down to the surface. But look at this. That's that segment of stronger winds that are coming out ahead of that. And if there's going to be any wind damage, it's going to be in this area right here, just to the west of Ripley, slightly west of Covington, and then moving off to the east. Now, spectrum width, that's an indication of turbulence within the atmosphere. Not looking so bad, but just back to the west, and northwest of that, seeing some pretty good turbulence coming in behind it, and even down in the southern portion of it, a little gusting wind down there. But right now, as far as what the radar is seeing with the most intense wind, is going to be this area right here. I want to put the scope on here, and let's check it out and see if there's any indication of any rotation within there. I don't really see much. It is primarily a gust of wind that's coming in with that very heavy rain as it pushes on through. This would be great if this was just a rainmaker. And by the way, as this is coming down, there's a little bit of outflow right here. And Spencer, this could actually kill the environment right here for this storm to work with. That may actually turn into a rainmaker. You got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility, Ron, because, as these storms sink south, and especially as they get into the environment that's been worked over, hopefully we can see these things weaken a little bit. One thing I note is we're still seeing a lot of lightning with it. I think we have a live shot in Blytheville right now of some of that lightning, that intense lightning going on from one of our Blytheville cameras. And if we take that, we can show you what's happening out there right now. This is it. And Ron, you're actually kind of there in the screen with it, but they've seen some flashes of lightning in the distance. Looks like those street lights, there you go. Street lights are kind of causing a little bit of a glare on that one. In fact, let me see if I can pull up our Midtown camera here on my Mac system. And if you guys want to take that, because and I don't know if you can move that just a little bit farther to the north and we can get a better view of those storms. So if you just move that to the right a little bit, you can see that the lightning is probably flashing in the distance, even in between some of the clouds. But here in Memphis and Shelby County, it's just been some pockets of rain, and that's really about it. We really haven't seen a whole lot here in Shelby County this evening, but we are panning just to the north there. And again, you can, and if you stop right to the left of that little light that's flashing there, that's looking, there you go, right there. That's looking toward those storms. So we'll keep an eye on that area and see what we see as far as any flashes of lightning. But the lightning count, Ron, seems to have gone down a little bit as it's moved further south and east out of northeast Arkansas. These storms actually looked a little stronger, had some large hail, had some more bigger lightning count as well.
You know, and now that we're well into the nighttime hours, this is going to continue until about probably 3, 4 a.m., making its way through the Action News 5 coverage area. But now that we're in the nighttime hours, we've lost the daytime heating. But here's something we want to watch closely. Any showers and storms that develop in advance of this main line could actually tap in and just eliminate the energy that this system would have to work with. So we're already seeing some showers develop out in advance of that, just to the east. That's going to help to stabilize the atmosphere to some degree. And we're starting to see some downpours here in Memphis and across parts of Shelby County. So as this intense line starts to make its way a little farther south, that could be good news for us, because the worst thing we want to have is this potentially tornado or tornadic system coming through while many people are sleeping at night, and a lot of folks in bed. Now, if you're up with us and you do want to get a little sleep, Spencer and I are going to be watching this and tracking it through the overnight hours. But if you have a weather radio, I want you to make sure it is on, it is plugged in, and has batteries. The batteries are there as a backup, just in the event the power goes out. But you want to have a way to get warnings and alerts should any additional ones be issued. And of course, the First Alert Weather app. You can have the audio up on your phone, or your tablet and get the warnings there. But right now, we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning that remains in effect now. This is for Lauderdale, Mississippi, Shelby, and Tipton County. It's going to go until 11:30 tonight. Let me zoom into the Memphis Metro, and let's take a close look at what we're seeing here, because we do have some pretty good downpours inside the 240 loop. Had a little bit that came through Midtown just moments ago, and right now it's making its move just to the north of Union Avenue, and we've got another one that's just to the west of Lakeland. That is also, by the way, Lakeland, you are in the tornado or the severe thunderstorm box or polygon that has been placed, and it extends all the way into eastern and northeastern Shelby County. So areas along Highway 64 and north, you are included in this severe thunderstorm warning tonight. And we've got a couple of areas right here that we're watching. Another that's just to the south, not severe, but producing a lot of rain. And as a matter of fact, just taking a look at the rainfall rates of these individual cells, it's coming down at about 1 inch per hour. We got another one just to the south of that, also just about 1 inch per hour. But as these continue to track off to the east, there is the potential that these little individual cells could start to spin as they encounter that southerly flow that's coming in advance of it, and then that could give this a little bit of spin back behind it. So right now, it's all about the wind. And taking a look at the wind right around Memphis metropolitan area, it's not that significant, but you don't have to go far to find strong winds that are now making their way through Tipton County. This is about to cross Highway 51 right now, as it's about to enter Covington. Then stronger winds also coming into play. And Spencer, check that out right there around Ripley. Can you see that? That looked like a little gust there that came up quickly for just about 1 or 2 radar scans. I don't see any rotation in it, but this little area right here, that certainly looks like that's a little something. You seeing anything on that in the way of, I'll tell you what, let me switch over to your radar. You've got a pretty good view of it. What are you seeing there?
It looks like it's the peak edge of that bow echo. It's actually on the apex of the bow, so it's just kind of pushing that air out.
It's a little flow coming in behind it?
Yeah, a little inflow notch coming in right behind it. So that's what we're looking at as it does approach Ripley. And yeah, something, let me put it in motion just to see what it looks like on here over the past 30 minutes and see what that, that's.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's a little,
It's weakening.
Yeah, it is weakening.
It is weakening significantly.
But it looks like that it's it just separated. It's like a separate cell almost out in front of it, or it's merging with other cells. That's what it's doing.
That's what we're seeing. There's a little void that's being created right now. You get a little fill in on the back side of that, and it's going to almost work like a wake low. You know, you could see a situation, a wake low situation. In other words, you get a strong wind coming in behind that main round of precipitation, but it leaves such a void back behind it that air starts to fill in and rapidly rush to the surface. That can actually do some serious damage. And Spencer, your time down in Alabama, especially when you were in Huntsville, there were a couple of wake lows that came through there in your time there. So we could see a similar situation, at least from a radar perspective. It looks like that could be developing here. Let me draw it out and explain to you what we're talking about. So you've got this moving east, right? So a lot of air coming in behind it. But what it does, it just kind of leaves a void here. So some of this air comes in behind. You get a little bit coming in behind here, and then it gets a little counterclockwise spin. I can pack a little bit of a punch. But right now, I think the biggest concern with this is the threat for the heavy rain and that leading edge of wind that could do some damage there. And I got to tell you, that lightning, it's not giving up. As a matter of fact, just taking a look at that right now, still about 700 strikes of lightning. So that's pretty significant there. But I am very encouraged by what I'm seeing back behind this, because right now we have no severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for these storms that are just about to cross and come into right along in north of I-40 and push to the south. No indications of anything severe here, even though we've got a few individual cells that are working, or discrete cells. But it looks like, for the most part, the main portion, or the strongest, the meanest portion of this cell is right here, coming on through Tipton and Lauderdale counties. Now, the National Weather Service did just issue a special weather statement about this portion of the storm for the northern portion of the storm coming through Dyersburg right now. Let me zoom into that, because Dyer County, Dyersburg, it's getting loud up there. There's a lot of lightning with this. And just right here for Dyer County, check this out. 226 strikes of lightning. What about indications of hail? Let's see if we see any hail in that area. No, but a lot of heavy rain. As a matter of fact, rainfall rates associated with this, it's pretty heavy. Just to the west and northwest of Dyersburg. Here, let me track it right there. Coming down at just over 2 inches per hour. And then just to the west of or east of the Mississippi River through Lauderdale County, it's coming down at about 2 inches per hour. So again, we're dealing with this very heavy precipitation that's coming on through. Let me track this. I'll do a couple of tracks. One through Dyer County. It's moving off to the east. So Dyersburg, heavy rain coming your way at about 11:12. Then Vire, 11:16. We'll see it move into Bonnecourt at about 11:18, 11:21 into Newbern. Tatumville, 11:25, 11:30 into Yorkville, 11:34 into Tyson Store, and 11:38 into Dyer. I think it's going to be loud. I think there's going to be very heavy rain, but I think this is going to remain sub-severe. Now, for the area that's just to the south of that, where we've got a little more energy, little stronger wind, this portion of the storm, that's really packing a punch. Let's put a track on that and show you where it's going to go. And we'll track this from right here, just to the east of Ripley. Ripley, I know it's loud right now. A lot of thunder, a lot of heavy rain coming down. Toulon, it's going to come through at about 11:15. I hope I said that right. 11:16, it will move into Nutbush. Then Crossroads at about 11:21. 11:26, it will get into Rudolph. We'll see it move into Maury City. 11:27. It'll continue to move east into Brownsville. 11:32. 11:37 into Bells. Gadsden at 11:43. Heavy rain, possibly a little hail with this. Look at this. Pretty good hail signature right there on the Tipton-Lauderdale County line. Looks like it is just about 1.25 inches. And that's a loft. So again, we're hitting that at about 1,500 feet. As it falls, there is some melting. So what is reaching the ground is probably quarter-size hail at the least, pea to quarter-size hail. So there is likely some hail in there, but there's also some pretty strong wind in there too. And you can still see that little area. And this is it right here. That's some strong wind that's moving in there. Stronger wind, looks like it is just to the east of Ripley at this time, but it is making that push off to the east. Spencer, any power out? Oh, you're looking at the rotation track. What do you say? That looks pretty interesting there. What do you see?
Yeah, I'm actually using that to look at the actual wind track, because there's really not a ton of rotation with this, and really what we're looking at is just the wind energy with this system, and you can actually see it on the rotation algorithm that we use. And this is it right here. Let's take it full screen and I can show you a little bit better and just kind of draw it out, because what we're seeing here is these little areas right here where it's red. This is all just wind energy. So that's really saying to me that, hey, the core of the wind is in this area right here, and that is why it's kind of in the center of the severe thunderstorm warning, and it's moving to the south and east. And that's why we've been saying for Lauderdale and Tipton, you folks have the highest threat for wind with this. Notice you don't see hardly anything so far in Shelby County. The majority of this was confined to Mississippi County. It's kind of skipping portions of Crittenden County, and some of the storms to the west are going to sink to the south, and again, you're eventually going to have some storms roll in. In fact, the storms are already moving into portions of Crittenden County now. So if you look at that track and look at what we see on radar right now, it's a good indication that really the core of the wind, let me circle it one more time, has been confined to this area right here. So it's that area, and again, even the stuff that's coming into northern Shelby right now doesn't look as strong as what's just to your north. And even that, maybe just 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. I say just because it could be a lot stronger than that in some areas. And it's going right over the radar right now. So we're getting a little bit of this breaking up. It's kind of hard to see how much of the wind energy is still out there right now. But the leading edge of this, Ron, man, it's already made it to, let me turn this off and clear this off here. It's already made it past Covington, and right now it looks like the leading edge is going to move into portions of Haywood County. They've already got storms ahead of that, so you've got one little line of storms that developed ahead of the main line in Haywood right now, and the other area is coming in right behind it. So definitely some gusty wind. Certainly there could be some damaging wind gusts, but this is not looking near as bad as it could have, or some of the forecast models even showed as it's racing through right now.
I am really encouraged by this. I know it looks like a mess on the radar, but this little area you were pointing out, Spencer, really from Stanton north to about Maury City, that little band right there, that little band, let me point that out. This band right here that developed in advance of this main line right here is now zapping all of the energy that the strongest portion of the storm had to work with. So as we got that outflow boundary, it gave a little lift to the moisture there, and as a result, we get that little band of showers that developed out in advance of it. That took a bite out of the severe aspect. But even though that's the case, that eliminates, or not doesn't necessarily eliminate, but certainly lessens the possibility that this will enhance as it moves a little farther to the east. One of the things we have to watch carefully is there's still a lot of lightning in there, and lightning, the second most deadly natural phenomenon. Fortunately, not a lot of people out now in the nighttime hours, but what this can do is take out power, because lightning and power grids do not work well together. 627 strikes of lightning, and that's from right there around the southern Tipton County border up just to the south of Dyersburg. So that is a lot of lightning. I've said this before, lightning strikes the earth about 30,000 times a day on average. That's a lot of lightning. We've seen lines of storms move through the Mid-South just here in the Action News 5 coverage area from right around the Boot Heel of Missouri down to around Helena, a little farther south. We've seen 30,000 lightning strikes just with one single storm system coming through from time to time. But right now, what we're looking at is really a rainy mess, but we still have that one severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to go for about another 14 minutes for Dyer, Lauderdale, Shelby, and Tipton County. And this is impacting northern Shelby County. But as I take a look into the city of Memphis and Shelby, just zooming in a little tighter on that, it's mainly rain here in the city. Daisha, I'm going to ask you to bring up, or Jayla, whoever's directing tonight, I'm going to ask you to bring up a Midtown camera in just a moment. Daisha is our director in the booth tonight. And so Millington, right now, you're getting a lot of very heavy rain. I mean, that is heavy, and it's right there on top of the radar, so you get a little attenuation. In other words, there's so much heavy rain on top of the radar itself that it's hard for it to kind of branch out and see. So we'll get a better view of what's behind this once that moves off to the east. But I can give you a view outside right now. This is from our High 5 camera. This is Midtown. We are looking to the north. Can we swing that camera around to the left a little bit? Oh, all right, so there's the lightning strikes there. Pretty impressive. We've seen a lot of activity on that just within the last few minutes. Right now, a little bit of a lull in the activity, and sometimes the best laid plans. But I tell you what, let's go ahead and move that camera and move it a little more to the west. Let's go to the west now. I believe we're looking a little farther to the north. All right. Yeah, okay. Which direction are we looking on that right now? Is that to the north?
That's southeast. That's looking toward the Liberty Bowl right now.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see it. There's a Liberty Bowl right here. So we're looking to the southeast. I lost my track there for a minute. So let's continue to bring it around, and let's take another look at these storms as they're coming on through. Let's go ahead, keep it moving. Keep it moving there. We should have Union Avenue coming up. There we go. Now we're looking to the west. Now let's come around just a little more.
Oh, you can see the bottom edge of the cloud the base of the storm cloud there.
And there, that's it, isn't it? Right
Yep,
there?
yep.
There it is. There's the bottom of that.
Ooh,
oh,
look at that.
yeah.
There you go.
Look at that. As we see in the distance there, curvature of the earth comes into play. There's that cloud deck right there. Some pretty good lightning in the distance. But in Midtown, somewhat tranquil. Do we have our downtown camera? We may be able to get a better view, especially if that camera is looking towards the new bridge. That's going to be a little looking a little more to the north from Waterford Plaza that we have. So our first alert Doppler radar, again, heavy rain just now coming into Shelby County, really from the northwest portion of Shelby County. We're getting a lot of heavy rain right there around Shelby Forest, just under 1.5 inches. A couple of pockets, just less than 1 inch, just to the west of Millington. Looks like it's coming down right around 1 inch per hour. But as we pan down just a little bit, the heavier precipitation right now, right here to the east of Covington, that has crossed 51. And with that, look at this, from just to the east of Ripley, close to 2 inches of rain per hour. Just under 2.5 inches of rain per hour. Let's see if hail is skewing any of this. There was some pretty good hail again. We were looking at that moments ago. I don't think that's the case now as it's moved off to the east. As far as the velocity goes, velocity is wind, speed, and direction. The green is wind that's moving toward the radar site, which is located in Millington. The red is wind that is moving away from the radar site. But where we see these brighter colors, do you see this little area right here? That's where we can get a strong gust of wind. And Spencer, right there in northern Haywood County, north of Brownsville, I'm seeing close to 70 mile an hour wind speed there. Now again, that's a loft. That's at about probably anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 feet up. But what was coming across the surface in Blytheville was only a 19 mile an hour wind, and we were seeing radar returns that were very similar to that. Spencer, you got a lot of lightning on there. What are you looking at right now?
Yeah, I was actually looking at that same area you were talking about. The lightning count is much higher up here where we see this higher wind right now. So places like Christmasville, Rudolph, you're seeing a ton of lightning. Shaw, Bethel, those communities, again, just north of Brownsville. This is north of Brownsville, Tennessee, in Haywood County, and that's also close to where we're picking up some of that intense wind. In fact, I'll take the lightning off real quick so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Here is the wind that Ron was mentioning near Christmasville right now, and that's showing 69 mile per hour winds, and that is at about 2,200 feet. So there could be at least 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts still trying to come through some of these areas here in portions of Haywood County. But again, this matches up where you're seeing, usually when you see the intense lightning in big clusters like that, that is a sign that there is possibly some more intense part of the storm there. There's the latest update. Let me clear this off and do another update for you right here. Yeah, look at that. It went up to 75.
Miles, yeah.
So there's a little cluster. And that's the thing is with these storms, many areas may not see wind damage, but then there may be this one spot that gets maybe some trees down, some power lines down, that sort of thing. So it may not be widespread like we've seen with some of these other storms, but there will be little areas like this that just pop up where the wind intensifies with this. And so if you're north of Brownsville, between Bethel and Brownsville, you want to kind of stay put until this part of the storm moves out. You're right on the edge of that severe thunderstorm warning as well. And Ron, what I noticed behind this is when I take a look at the reflectivity, I mean, if you're in Mississippi County, you're pretty much done with the worst part of the storms. I mean, it's really moved to your east now. If you're in Poinsett, Cross County, you're pretty much done. It's moving through northern Shelby County right now, so we're watching that area. And again, I was looking at that a little bit closer just a second ago. Let me take this off. And looking and it's going right over the radar, so it's getting a little distorted as far as what's happening on the radar right now. But the strongest wind, heaviest rain moving through Millington, moving along 385 right now. We'll zoom in a little bit tighter along Pleasant Ridge Road, Sledge Road, some of those areas. So it's moving into the Bolton community. It's moving through Barrettville and Rosemark. I believe Rosemark, Tipton Rosemark Academy is up there along Austin P Highway just off of that. So again, we're looking at those areas areas where it's moving through. So this is heading the heaviest rain, the thunder, the lightning, some gusty wind, eventually moving into northeastern Shelby County. And when I look at the base velocity with this, it still doesn't look as bad for Shelby County. So certainly good news for the folks that have already dealt with so many power outages. We don't want to add to that list because there's still about 6,500 as of right now, Ron, without power here in Shelby.
The National Weather Service coming to the same conclusion, Spencer. As a matter of fact, they're seeing these sub-severe storms. They're making the decision right now as to whether or not they'll extend the existing warning, but they're just not seeing the signatures at the surface. They're seeing gusty wind signatures aloft, but at the surface, no ground truth. Now, we had a gust of 44 knots. That's 51 miles per hour. That was in Covington, but that's just below severe limits. As a matter of fact, severe thunderstorm warnings technically issued when there is 1 inch or larger hail. Also, winds of 58-mile-an-hour winds or higher. So doesn't seem to be the case. We've had no 58-mile-an-hour winds confirmed at the surface, but we've had some pretty impressive radar signatures, although this is now turning into a hodgepodge of rain. But we still have a tornado watch in effect until 4 a.m. Now, as Spencer was saying, I think a good portion of northeast Arkansas is finished with the severe. I think everybody that is north of the 40 corridor and along and west of the river, your severe threat is over. I dare venture to say, and Spencer, feel free to contradict me here, but I think that's over. I still want to wait a little while before we clear the counties in West Tennessee, but Dyersburg, we get that rain through there. Same thing for Lauderdale and Tipton counties. The rain comes through there, and that really just zaps the energy that these storms have to work with. And the focus for the stronger storms is now going to progress east, and that's going to take that into West Tennessee, right around Madison County and a little closer to the Tennessee River as that system moves through. I am encouraged by the fact that we're not seeing a lot of lightning here. No severe thunderstorms there. We have 1 severe thunderstorm warning right now that will expire in 5 minutes, but the most intense portion of the storm itself is within that polygon right there. Look at that, 756 strikes of lightning still holding together, and that is moving off to the east. Pretty good clip on that too. But notice that little band right there. That's going to zap some of the fuel that would allow this storm to intensify, or that segment of the storm to intensify. And what's coming through Memphis and Shelby County right now, once we get that line through, I think we're going to be done with the severe threat. So we could look at this being over for the Memphis metro right around 12:30. Let's take a look outside because we're seeing heavy rain on one of, I think we've got a TDOT camera. Is that what we have, Meg? Let's check it out. This is I-40 at Watkins. It's right there on the northern portion of the 240 loop, right there in Shelby County, the city of Memphis and Shelby County. There you see it. It's windy, it's raining hard. But yeah, we have the severe thunderstorm warning. Got another couple of minutes left on that, but right now it is just rain. I'm not even seeing a lot of flashes of lightning out there either. Anything catch your eye on that, Spencer?
Yeah,
Just
it looks,
the rain.
Honestly, that's what I was noticing here in Shelby County. I was looking at the heavy rain. In fact, I've got it on the radar right now. And Ron, there's not a lot of lightning strikes here in Shelby County. In fact, I count 10.
Let's take that. Let's take that, Daisha. Take Spencer's.
Yeah, so
10 strikes of lightning in Shelby County.
Yeah, 10 strikes. Again, lightning's not good, but that number is very good because that indicates that this is just basically generic non-severe storms trying to move through the Mid-South, because I don't think there's much in the way of wind above, certainly above 50 miles per hour, maybe 40, 45 with this as it moves through, but I'm only seeing very sparingly the strikes. Really the strongest part of the storms back here across portions of Haywood County right now. I think it's Haywood, and as you go up into, say, Crockett County and Gibson.
Gibson, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are the areas that we're really watching for maybe some higher wind gusts and the more intense lightning. So if we're going to see any 50-plus mile per hour winds, it will be in those areas. But here in Shelby County right now, again, it's trying to bow out a little bit down here into Bartlett. So it's moving through Bartlett. We can hear the rain coming
do you hear
down.
that?
It's coming down in sheets right now here at Action News 5 on Union Avenue. So we're getting that portion. We're getting this probably the heaviest portion coming right over us right now, Ron. So that's what we're watching.
Daisha, can we take the Midtown camera? Can you pop that up for us quickly? I want to see this heavy rain that is coming down. I want to show our folks, our viewers at home. I'm going to step out. That is the view. Can we find Union Avenue? Taking a look to the west, I think we may need to swing that around to the left just a little bit. There we go. There's Union Avenue right in the middle of your screen right now. Not getting a lot in the way of wind. I want to run over and check our weather sensor. We have our own weather sensor that's here on the rooftop at 1960 Union Avenue in the heart of Midtown Memphis. And we've picked up 0.74 of an inch of rain today. I want to check out the winds. 29-mile-an-hour wind gusts. That's it. 29-mile-an-hour wind gusts with this. Here we are, 11:30. This line continues to move through. The warning itself has now expired. Let's go back to our first alert Doppler radar. And let me show you the line. Continues to progress to the east. No severe. The most intense portion of it is right there. Now moving on through Madison and Crockett County. That is going to impact northern Fayette, Hardeman counties, but the stronger wind with this should remain right there along and just to the north of the I-40 corridor. And again, in the Memphis metro, nothing severe, just heavy rain coming through. And once that rain moves out,
and Ron,
continues to push south and east.
Yeah, and they've expired that warning as of 11:30.
So it is gone. Tell you what, let's do this. I'm going to get you back to the home view here. Let's take one more quick look, show you what's going on. We still got a lot of lightning. Strongest portion of the storm right here. Now moving on through Gibson, Haywood, Madison County. Not severe, no severe thunderstorm warning, nothing severe there. But we still have the tornado watch that will remain until 4 a.m. Spencer and I are going to continue to watch this. We'll track it through the overnight hours. Of course, Patrick Ellis will be in bright and early, 2 a.m. He'll be tracking as well. We invite you to join us for Action News 5 starting at 4 a.m. for you early risers. But in the meantime, for folks along and west of the Mississippi River, folks in Memphis and the counties that border West Tennessee, of the Mississippi River in West Tennessee. Get a little sleep. Spencer and I are going to watch this. North Mississippi, I think you're in good shape tonight as well. Should any additional warnings be issued, of course, we'll cover it on the air, on the web, on TV, and the First Alert weather app. In the meantime, on behalf of meteorologist Spencer Denton, I'm meteorologist Ron Childers. Have a good, safe night. We're not going anywhere. We'll let you know and have your first alert should these storms redevelop and intensify. Let's get you back to your regularly scheduled programming now.